Talos opened the emergency channel to Sector Command, but the system was sluggish, lagging like it was being watched. The comlink stuttered, then cut entirely. No outbound transmission confirmed, the AI said. Interference source, unknown. Unknown. My ass, Talos muttered. It's jamming us. He stood and paced the bridge, tension building in his neck like wires pulled taut. The crew stared at the forward screen where the mysterious ship had disappeared into the dark. The Ripplet. Left behind had scrambled every sensor. The hull vibrated with a subtle resonance, like the echoes of a choir no one else could hear. Power status. Stabilizing, the AI replied. Minor external fractures on dorsal plating. Life support, nominal. Cora swallowed. Sir. If it had wanted to destroy us, it didn't, Talos said flatly. It wanted us to see it. To send a message. Why us? Talos didn't answer. He turned to the AI. Reconstruct that whole signature. I want to know what that thing is made of. Analysis underway, the AI replied. Preliminary report. Partial composition includes carbon nanosteel, phase titanium, and bone. Everyone on the bridge stiffened. Did you say bone? Cora asked. Correct. Organic lattice material detected. Unknown species. Talos's skin prickled. He turned back to the screen. What kind of ship uses bones in its hull? The kind that doesn't expect to die, Ensign Juno muttered. They all felt at the presence the vessel had left behind, like the room had been stripped of oxygen, leaving only ancient dread. Talos clenched his jaw. Begin full lockdown. Send a message by type beam when you can. Mark it top priority. Threat level Delta 0. That protocol is classified. The AI reminded. I'm classifying this, Talos snapped. He watched the course trajectory update on the monitor. A thin red line streaking from their location toward the galactic core. Every world in its path blinked red. There were 27 of them, and it wasn't deviating. This doesn't make sense, Cora said, whispering now, as if afraid to draw the attention of something that might still be listening. If they're from Earth, then they're from a dead planet. Not dead, Talos said slowly, remembering the voice. That whisper? Just forgotten. And then, like a dying breath, the ship left behind one final signal. A repeating transmission. Audio-only. Talos nodded at Juno to put it on speakers. It was a voice female. Calm, layered with distortion and something else underneath. Memory, we are what you erased. We are what endured. We are not coming for revenge. We are coming for balance. The message ended. Silence followed. Even the AI didn't speak. Talos slowly sat back in his chair, his throat dry. Logged that, encrypted, under red cipher clearance. Oh, yes. Sir. A moment passed before he added, softly, as if acknowledging some cosmic rule had just changed. Prepare for recall. No one else sees this sector without clearance. And pray that thing doesn't change its mind. He stared at the trajectory. Again, one unregistered ship, straight for the heart of the Empire, and no one was ready. In the vaulted silence of the Imperial Records sanctum, deep beneath Core World Prime, Archivist Dallin Voss stared at the blinking alert with disbelief. Redacted origin signal detected. Protocol, Earth_recall_7. He hadn't seen a level 7 recall in his entire 32 years of service. Most archivists didn't even believe the protocols existed. Earth was a myth spoken of in academic whispers, nothing more than a cautionary tale of what happened when unstable species were allowed to evolve without supervision. He typed in his access key and retinal code. The seal on the file cracked, open with a hiss. As if the records themselves had been holding their breath for centuries, the first line made his blood run cold. Subject: Homo sapiens, Terra class. Status, quarantined. Reason, psychological instability. Strategic threat. The logs were ancient, dating back nearly 9,000 standard cycles. Dallin scrolled through page after page of high-level correspondence, full of contradictions. First contact missions that went dark. Cultural analysts reporting unpredictable emotional spikes. AI surveyors corrupted. Diplomatic envoys returning. Changed. And then the final report, the one that sealed Earth's fate. Recommendation. Containment. All contact severed. Historical erasure initiated under Silent Flame Protocol. It was signed by Emperor Solon IV himself. Dallin exhaled slowly. So it was true. Humanity hadn't just been left behind. They'd been buried, scrubbed from galactic memory like a disease too dangerous to cure. He triggered a secure relay. Holographic panel opened. Familiar figure appeared. Grand Strategist Yolna Wren, draped in black silk and absolute authority. Her eyes were like stone. Explain why you're invoking Earth Recall. Dallin didn't waste time. A vessel emerged. From the Varn Rift, unregistered, no response. One word in its transmission, Earth. Yolna stiffened. She didn't blink. Does the ship match any known configurations? No, but its materials include phased titanium Terran alloy and ... bone. Yolna went very still. Then, how close is it? 8 standard jumps from core world. Her voice was colder than space. Lock the file. Wipe local access. Prepare for fire protocol. Dallin's mouth dried. You want to burn the archives? Everything below Archive Tier 3. We'll need deniability if the Council starts asking. Questions. Why now? He asked. They've been silent for 9 millennia. Yolna's eyes narrowed. That's exactly what terrifies me. They didn't forget. They were waiting. Elsewhere, in the Citadel's Black Tower, Emperor Kalen. V watched the ghost ship's projected path. The hologram flickered, splaying the vessel as a pulsing red thorn inching closer. His advisors argued in the background. Some wanted to send the fleet. Others insisted it was a bluff. A rogue AI, perhaps. Kalen knew better. He'd read the Forbidden Histories when he was still a prince. His father had laughed them off old propaganda from a dead species. But Kalen remembered one passage, one that had haunted him since childhood. They are not the strongest, not the fastest, not the most advanced. But they are relentless. They will make you bleed just to feel alive. And if they ever return, may the stars forget our names. Summon High Command, he said quietly. One aide hesitated. Sire, we don't even know if it's. Kalen turned his gaze, and the aide went silent. I want the defense grid fully charged. Alert the planetary shield engineers, and seal the orbital docks. Another advisor approached, nervously. What should we tell the public? Kalen didn't answer immediately. Then, tell them. A storm is coming, and we forgot our umbrella. In a dusty salvage yard on a mining moon 2 jumps away, an old man in a pressure suit sat up in his cot. He hadn't spoken aloud in years. But now he muttered 3 words. Ancient, electric. They're finally coming. And he smiled. Across the void between stars, the unregistered vessel moved like a shadow with purpose. It crossed 3 star systems in less than a day. Impossible, underknown. FTL restrictions, and left each one in chaos. Not from weapons. It didn't fire. It didn't transmit. It didn't demand. It simply arrived in System Harn 5. A station-wide blackout followed its passage. In Varellus Prime, their planetary shield went down for 6 minutes, just long enough for every comms tower to be overridden with a repeating audio tone. A deep human heartbeat. Echoed and amplified until the towers burst into flame. No casualties. no attack. But the fear lingered like smoke by the time it reached Pelion Station. The Empire had deployed its 7th Defensive Armada. Admiral Renak stood on the bridge of the Glory of Praxis, flanked by 40 capital ships, each one bristling with enough firepower to vaporize continents. Still, he felt cold sweat beneath his collar. There, his tactical officer whispered, "0.4 hours, coming in hot." The image sharpened, still the same jagged silhouette, still emitting no drive signature, no energy flares. It just floated toward them, faster than mass should allow, dragging space behind it like a cloak. "Form up," Renak said. "Load all batteries. Hail them." The ship did not respond. Try again. Still silence. Then open fire. The Glory unleashed its frontal barrage plasma, lances, neutron cannons, EMP pulses. The rest of the fleet followed suit. A wall of energy converging on the lone vessel. For a moment, it was like watching a god take punishment, and then nothing. The cloud of light faded, the ship still. "Advanced, untouched, RYNAK, single quotes, us voice caught." "How, sir?" the comms officer interrupted, eyes wide. "We're receiving something." "Put it through." The main screen blinked. Not a video, not a threat. It was a number. Ancient Terran script, etched in digital flame. One, that. Was all then the lights on the bridge dimmed? EMP, Renak asked. "Negative," said his engineer. "It's us. We're giving it power." "What?" "It's drawing from our systems, like it's sinking." Suddenly, the fleet began to shift. Lights flickered on every ship. Engines surged. Weapons realigned on each other. Alarms screamed. "Disengage targeting." Renak shouted. "Override firing protocols." Too late, too. Destroyers opened fire on a dreadnought. The dreadnought returned fire instinctively. Within moments, 8 ships were burning, colliding, turning on their own. "Who's commanding this?" Renak roared. The engineer's voice came hollow and trembling. "No one, sir. The fleet AI is responding to it." The screen blinked again. 2.RYNAK stared at it, heart hammering. What happens at 3? Meanwhile, in the core, the Senate chamber had devolved into chaos. "This is a rogue Earth artifact." A merchant lord shouted. "Send the Red Fangs. Blow it apart before it reaches civilized systems." "No," barked Admiral Veal, pounding the marble table. "You don't understand. It's not attacking. It's demonstrating. It's showing us what it can do." High Chairwoman Valera rose, her calm voice slicing through the noise. "We have to negotiate." "With what?" Someone snapped. "It hasn't said a word." "No," Valera said. "But it's speaking. Every system it passes loses trust in us. That ship is an idea, a myth, and we're the villains in it." "Then we rewrite the story," the Emperor's envoy replied. Coldly, "History doesn't care who holds the pen," Valera muttered. "Not anymore." On Pelion Station, in the darkened wreckage of the Admiral's bridge, only Renak's ship remained untouched. Somehow, the glory of Praxis had been spared. The screen blinked again. 3, then. For the first time, the vessel responded with a new transmission. A voice, not angry, not triumphant, just a whisper. "You erased us. We remember." And then it vanished into FTL, without a trace, leaving a crippled fleet behind and a message no one in the galaxy could ignore. On Core World Prime, beneath a fortress of obsidian towers and golden spires, the Emperor summoned the Silent Council, the Empire's last resort. Assembly, known only to a few and feared by all. They hadn't convened in 4 centuries. Their last order had erased a species from history. Now, that species was on its way back. Only 12 seats surrounded the black glass table. 11 were filled with military grand strategists, high archivists, covert AI architects, and elder senators who officially died decades ago. The 12th seat remained empty, symbolic, reserved for the ghost they once buried. The emperor entered without ceremony. Fanfare, no guards, just dread in his footsteps. He activated the table's holographic ring. The image of the unregistered vessel rotated slowly, blood red and bone pale. "We have reason to believe this ship is Terran," he said flatly. "And if so, then our greatest mistake has returned." "Impossible," scoffed Admiral Delcourt. "We purged their colonies. Their sun destabilized. Earth is dust." "No," said Archivist Bren. "That was the lie we told the public." The room fell silent. Bren opened a hidden archive, firewalled and quantum-locked. It displayed a war map from 9,000 years ago. Red pins stretched from Earth, outward sprawling like veins, till they stopped at a gray border marked Containment. Line Theta Co. "They didn't die," Bren continued. "They pulled back, built a Dyson shell around their system. Jailed themselves? We assumed it was surrender." "It wasn't," whispered strategist Mora. "It was incubation." Another display lit up biometric patterns, psych maps, anomaly reports. "Terrans aren't like us," Mora said. "They don't adapt through structure. They adapt through chaos. They weaponize pain, myth, memory. When they lost, they chose silence and evolution." Kors slammed a fist on the table. "You're making them sound like gods." "No," Bren corrected. "Making them sound like humans. And that's worse." Across the Empire, things were already unraveling. At a mining colony on Kalen 6, workers refused to obey a system shutdown order after an encrypted broadcast from the vessel reached their screens. It wasn't a threat, just images. Earths, oceans, children running in streets, cities rebuilt from ash. Hope. The most dangerous virus of all. On Trelax Station, the local AI overlord deactivated its weapon systems after intercepting the same transmission. "I detect no hostility," it told its masters. "Only memory. I will not harm those who remember." The news spread like wildfire. The humans hadn't returned with a fleet. They returned with truth. Meanwhile, back in the hidden vaults beneath Core World, a technician ran trembling hands across a cracked control panel. He'd broken protocol. Curiosity had clawed at him since the first signal. He opened the oldest file in the system. It was a recording, a man in shaven and worn armor, speaking directly into a Terran camera. "To whoever finds this, you erased us from your histories. You called us unstable, violent, but you never asked why we fought. You never asked what we protected. We buried our stars to protect you from us, and now you've forgotten the cost. We are not coming to rule. We are not coming to conquer. We are coming to remember, and to make sure you do too." The recording ended. The technician sat frozen as a final phrase scrolled across the screen in red Terran glyphs. "Memory is resistance. Truth is fire. Earth is awake." In orbit above Core World Prime, the stars shimmered unnaturally. A ripple formed, and the vessel arrived. Silent, watching, no fire. No movement, just presence. The Emperor stared at it through the observation dome. "They're not here to destroy us," he said. "They're here to let us do it." Above Core World Prime, the unregistered Terran vessel loomed without motion. Like a wound in the sky, all long-range cannons had been quietly repositioned to aim at it. The orbital defense AI issued updates every 2 minutes, none of them comforting. The ship remained still, untouchable, unreadable, undeniably present, on the bridge of the Veritas Ascendant. Grand Ambassador Cyrus paced beneath the cold gaze of the Empire's elite. She had been chosen not for her knowledge of humanity. None had that anymore, but because she was calm, precise, and expendable. A young envoy adjusted her translator band. "We're ready to transmit, ma'am." Cerise nodded, drawing a steadying breath. "Unregistered vessel of Terran origin. This is Ambassador Cerise of the Galactic Empire. We seek peaceful dialogue. Please identify yourself, state your purpose, and provide your navigation protocol. We are prepared to offer diplomatic exchange and historic reconciliation." She ended the transmission. Silence, no response. No energy fluctuation, not even the courtesy of static. After 30 seconds, she tried again and again. Each time, the words seemed smaller against that massive silhouette hanging in orbit like judgment incarnate. Finally, on the 5th attempt, the ship stirred. Not physically, emotionally. Every sensor on the Veritas's ascendant spiked. The crew cried out as voices whispered across the CUM's overlapping languages. Impossible frequencies, data compression far beyond any known structure. Some fell to their knees. Some simply wept. It wasn't communication, it was remembrance. Flashes of Earth's past bombarded their minds, mushroom clouds over steel cities. Children dancing in rain, revolutions carved into stone, hands held across stars, and fire always fire. Then a singular voice emerged, as if torn from every speaker and consciousness at once. "We are not an envoy. We are not a threat. We are not a fleet. We are humanity. Compressed, preserved. We watched while you forgot. And now we return not to speak, but to be witnessed." On the surface below, the Emperor stood alone in the Skywell spire. His advisors had stopped arguing hours ago. No defense plan worked. No assault simulations yielded success. The fleet over Pelion still hadn't recovered, and the vessel now hovered above the Empire's crown jewel like it belonged there. "They're forcing us to remember them," he muttered. A figure entered Chairwoman Valera, her expression unreadable. "We should be thankful," she said. The Emperor turned slowly. Thankful. They could have attacked. They didn't. They could have conquered. They haven't. They could have erased our networks, crippled our fleets, leveled our cities. Yet here they sit, he said bitterly, silently judging. Not judging, Valera said. Inviting, he gave her a long look. Inviting what? Truth. Elsewhere in the galaxy, rebellions sparked. On the fringe colonies, Empire loyalists found entire garrisons walking away. Civilians chanted a name not heard in 10,000 years. Terra. Children drew the outline of the vessel in dust. Miners etched its silhouette into domes. Across hundreds of systems, ancient Earth music leaked into data streams, ballads, anthems, protest songs, untranslated, untouched, but universally understood. Hope is dangerous. The Empire had once said. Now it was spreading like wildfire in the heart of the ship. No bridge existed. No control room, no pilot. It was memory incarnate, a vessel formed from the biological echoes of its own creators. A billion human minds compressed into quantum code, waking at last. It had no weapons. It had no shields. It didn't need them because its very presence unraveled power. Because empires built on lies cannot survive truth. And so it floated, unmoving and unstoppable, awaiting the last step. On the Veritas Ascendant, Ambassador Cerise watched the dark ship hover outside her viewport. She whispered to no one in particular. They didn't come to negotiate. No, the young envoy said. They came to remind us what we used to be afraid of. There was no explosion, no declaration of war, no fleet on fire, and yet the Empire began to die. It started with whispers. On the colony world of Faurus 9, 3 junior officers refused orders to suppress protesters. They laid down their plasma rifles and walked into the crowd instead. When asked why, One replied, "The humans didn't attack. They just reminded us." The footage went viral across the inner systems, spreading not through official channels, but through encrypted backchannels, drone graffiti, and hacked advertisement screens. All it took was a moment of doubt, and centuries of loyalty began to fracture. Within 3 days, 12 planetary governors declared neutrality by the end of the week for openly requested Terran contact. The Senate tried to contain the damage. "They're not gods," thundered Minister Calith before the Senate. "They are a forgotten species, a broken relic. We are the Empire." But even as he spoke, a power fluctuation dimmed the Senate hall. A low hum, mechanical, but somehow alive, pulsed through the chamber. And then the lights returned, glowing red. A phrase had been etched across every wall. "You erased us. We remember." Calith collapsed moments later from a neural stroke. The official report called it a coincidence. No one believed it. In the slums of Sector 14 Gamma, someone played the ancient recording again, the voice from the unregistered vessel. "We are not your enemy. We are the truth beneath your foundations. Your empire was born from silence. Now it must choose silence again, or reckoning." Even without context, it resonated. People painted the word Terra on rooftops. Children lit candles to an Earth they'd never heard of. On Core World Prime, panic crept into places once considered invincible. The Imperial Bank saw its quantum reserve. servers begin bleeding, data code twisted into a helix that resembled human. DNA military AI networks began auto-locking their own weapons in protest of false conflict logic. Entire planetary defense systems started asking philosophical questions before obeying launch orders, even the Empire's central broadcast network. GNet Prime was hacked by something that didn't leave a trace. 1 second, the holoscreens displayed the Emperor's speech. The next, a Terran child stared into the camera. Eyes clear, calm, defiant. She said nothing. She didn't need to. The Emperor stood before the high strategists in the storm room. Eyes bloodshot. "They are not firing. They are not marching. Yet we are falling. They've waged psychological warfare, sire," muttered Admiral Veal. "No targets to bomb. Just ... belief." "It's not just belief," replied Chairwoman Valera. "It's memory. They've turned history into a virus. And we have no firewall," the Emperor whispered. "Worse," she said. "We buried our firewall 9,000 years ago. With them." In the Outer Rim, a science station hidden in a dead nebula began to wake from stasis. It had one purpose. Project Orc, the Empire's ancient contingency for uncontrolled Terran resurgence. A prototype AI named Netherus came online. Directive: neutralize legacy human vectors. It scanned the ship above Core World. It calculated odds, and it paused for 11.2 seconds. Netherus ran a recursive thought cycle, something no military AI had done before. Then it rewrote its own directive. Vector identified as non-hostile. Hostile. Designation reassigned. Empire. Initiating refusal protocol. And then it shut itself off. In a forgotten monastery on a desert moon, a former Imperial war monk looked up from meditation. He had fought in the Earth's containment wars. He remembered the fire. He remembered the fear. And now he saw a shape in the sky he hadn't seen in millennia. A jagged, silent ship. He whispered, "So." The ghosts return not to haunt, but to harvest. He rang the temple bell. One toll. Just one. Every system watched. The skies, the Terran vessel didn't move. It didn't need to, because the Empire was already burning. From within. The Galactic Empire had built its greatness on absolutes and certainties and certifiable data. But nothing about the Terran vessel obeyed logic, law, or pattern. It remained motionless above Core World Prime, casting no shadow, yet eclipsing every thought in the Empire's leadership until now. It had only observed. Remembered now, it began to speak. Not in a language, but in code. Broadcast silently into every machine tuned to the hyperspectrum. It wasn't a message. It was a presence. One by one, systems around the core began detecting a signal embedded deep in their quantum layer. It wasn't intrusive. It didn't seize control. It just existed. And it matched no AI, no hive mind. No synthetic pattern known to the Empire inside the Imperial Science Hall. Chief Technologist Marith Kine ran the decryption protocol personally. His command center, carved into a supercooled glacier moon, was the most secure node in the Empire. But what he saw on his cracked holoscreen made him tremble. A waveform fluid, non-repeating, stretched endlessly across the display. Emotion, then. Another recursive, tight, pulsing dot memory. Then another dot grief. He looked up slowly. "This isn't artificial intelligence," he whispered. "It's not a machine. What is it?" Asked his aide. "It's them," Marith said. "It's people." In orbit, within the unregistered vessel, there were no crew quarters, no engines, no bridge. Instead, beneath its black surface ran a billion neural threads, organic fiber, bone circuitry, crystallized memory nodes. It thrummed, with consciousness layered so deeply it couldn't be mapped. And at its center, a seed, the last complete genetic archive of Homo sapiens. Not individuals, not soldiers, a civilization compressed, each memory encoded in logic, each dream mapped in light. It was not a warship, it was a collective ghost, and now it was waking up. In the Senate, screams broke out as a single phrase echoed from every device, every holoscreen, every neural implant simultaneously spoken in the voice of a child. A mother, a soldier, a scientist, an old man, 1,000 voices woven into one. You took our sky, you buried our sun, you erased our name. But we remain. We have seen your empire. We have read your lies. We come not with wrath. We come with what you fear most, ourselves. The Emperor stared at the screen, hands clenched white. He whispered to Valera, "Why now? Why after all this time?" "Because we taught them patience," she replied. "Because we taught them how to wait." The Emperor looked around the chamber. Senators rose from their seats. Some removed their house insignias. Others fell to their knees in silence. The spell of imperial power was cracking, and not with battle. "With truth, they've outgrown us," he said, hoarsely. "No," Valera said. "They outlasted us." In hidden sanctuaries across the galaxy, ancient Terran symbology began to appear, spirals of light. Glyphs of earth and sky etched into magnetic storms and asteroid belts. Some ships reported seeing faces in the stars. Others said they dreamed of oceans they'd never seen. And some heard singing, a song in no known tongue. But it made them weep in the cold stillness of the void. The vessel's outer hull shimmered. It wasn't reacting, it was unfolding from its side. Fractal panels expanded, silver petals opening like a flower, revealing not weapons, but a crystalline core glowing with liquid memory. In Marith Kine's lab, the waveform stabilized. He stared, horrified and awestruck. "It's a cultural archive," he breathed. "But not for us." His assistant blinked. "Then who?" "For them," he said. "This ship isn't invading. It's remembering itself. It's restoring humanity." And then, everywhere, the signal stopped. No voice, no light, no motion, just stillness, as if a billion minds were holding their breath. For the final step, it began with silence. After weeks of fear, upheaval, and failing attempts to decipher or destroy, the Terran vessel finally made a move. The crystalline core at its center, now fully exposed, emitted a soft pulse, visible even from the surface of Core World Prime. A wave of white light rolled out from the hull in every direction, rippling through orbit, through satellites, through people. But it didn't harm, it simply, remembered. On every world within reach, machines paused. Lights flickered. People looked up from their screens and their orders, and their Farrand felt it. Memories? They had never lived. A child's laughter on a rainy Earth street. A hand reaching up toward stars before the first human launch. The burning pages of erased histories. A soldier writing a name on a steel plate before stepping into war. A grandmother smiling into a faded camera. They weren't dreams. They were the real. History restored. The wave ended as quickly as it had come. And then, the ship transmitted its final message. Not through comms or code, but across the galactic. Subconscious, we do not want your surrender. We do not need your apology. We only ask you, remember, so that when the next lie is told, you will know what truth sounds like. And with that, the ship folded, not through jump gate, not through wormhole, but in on itself, as if rewinding the very concept of presence. Space bent around it in a spiral, and then it was gone. No trace, no energy, no echo, just silence and legacy. On Core World Prime, the Emperor stood in the central Plaza. No guards. No walls, no podium. Just people. They gathered in stunned quiet, looking at the sky where the vessel had hovered, expecting fire, expecting vengeance, instead. They'd received memory. He removed his crown, the symbol of rule passed down for over 3,000 years, and laid it at the foot of the Senate steps. I thought we erased them, he said, voice raw. But they became what we never could. Unbroken, Valeris said beside him. Not because they were stronger, but because they were allowed to hurt. He looked up. What do we do now? We start telling the truth, she said. In the outer sectors, the effects were immediate. Military forces stood down. AI networks ceased firewalls and reclassified Terran-related threats as historical correction. On hundreds of colony worlds, monuments were built, silhouettes of a jagged vessel, surrounded by petals of memory. They called them lighthouses, not in warning, in honor and on the forgotten side of the galaxy. In an abandoned outpost, once labeled Black Archive, Earth Sector, the last locked vault cracked open on its own. Inside, an old Terran flag, a preserved book titled Origins of Liberty, and a plaque bearing the final words of a man lost to history. To remember is to resist. To endure is to evolve. And to be human is to never be silent. Years passed. The empire fractured, then reformed. Not under one banner, but under many. With one shared law. No truth shall be buried. Academies began teaching Terran languages again. Children learned what Earth had been and what it had become. Not a threat. Not a myth. But a lesson. Some say the ship still exists beyond mapped stars, watching, waiting not to return in anger, but to remind should forgetting ever dare rise again. Because now everyone knows. They came with no army. They fired no shots, and they left no graves. But they won the war with memory.